not sure why. But anyway, just before I start, a big thanks to Craig, Dermot and Des for the speeches. Round of applause for them, guys. It's been a great day so far. For those of you that were in the chapel, it was quite a show, shall we say. Quite a few things happened. Really good rows, really good ceremony, and now finally my chance to lower the tone slightly. So, when Craig first asked me to be the best man, well, of course I said no. You know, he's got so many good friends, there's 2 tables full of them here, you know, why would he pick me? He's got his ushers, he's got Stephen and Stuart. I thought these guys are, you know, fine, upstanding young men, you know, surely they could do it. Then I went on the stag do. And it changed slightly. For those of you familiar with a sub crawl, it involves 15 of Glasgow's finest pubs, and towards the end of the sub crawl we just left the 15th pub. By left I mean we got chucked out, but we left. I turned the corner only to see Stephen, or Toner as he's more commonly known, do what I can describe as a dive bomb straight into a massive hedge behind a bench, followed closely by several other members of the party. Now I thought, being the responsible best man, I better go and sort this situation out. I mean, even the ever sensible Craig had landed in the bush, heads firmly planted between Stuart's legs at the So I started off by saying, we just get out of that bush, and within 5 minutes the story turned into, will somebody get me out of this fucking bush? I don't know how it happened. Anyway, I digress. So he asked me, and I said no. He asked me again, and well, I did say no again, I'm not going to lie, I did say no twice. We've not exactly been hanging about every day for the last 8 years, so I was kind of concerned that, you know, I wouldn't have much of his mature years to talk about, you know, his graceful descent toward his 30s. But after much cajoling from friends and family, I finally agreed and said yes. So I'm glad everyone's enjoying themselves so far. Craig, you're not going to enjoy this next bit, but so Craig and I shared the room for the first 20 years of my life, and amongst other things that allowed me to track is, shall we say, interesting taste in music. More on that later. I thought before we talk about the music, we need to talk about the hair. How did Craig become so famous for his long flowing locks? Well, I can tell you, it's not always been like this. No. I'm sure my mum will remember that day after his 15th birthday, they walked in from the barber's, I think it was the first time he was allowed out on his own, with a skinhead. Now, I wish I'd brought photos, but miraculously none seem to have survived the last sort of 13 years, but pretty much say he's not had a haircut since. So, like I was saying, he's not always been a fan of the heavy metal scene. No, he used to be quite a big fan of pop music as well. I do remember, I think he was about 8 or 9, bursting into a room with a copy of Smash Hits, screaming, "It's got to take that poster in it!" After he said that, the poster had made its way onto a cupboard door. I think it was just covering a hole in the cupboard door later, but yeah. Now, his love of pop music didn't begin and end with 5 lads from Manchester. He also developed a small obsession with the Spice Girls. It was the late 90s, Gary Barlow was a bit fat, Stephen Gately just came out, he needed something, you know? So, we did many a different debate or argument over the years about who was the hottest Spice Girl. I preferred Sporty. I mean, she looked good in a tracksuit, you can't give her that. Craig, was it Ginger or Scary? I can't remember your...
Changed by the week.
It did change by the week. But my favourite memory of Craig and the Spice Girls, and there are lots of them, is I think Craig was probably the only person in Britain more gutted than Simon Fuller. That his favourite song, Stop, was the first and only Spice Girls song to not make it to #1. It's not fair, he used to shout at me, like, it's not fair. I never really was a grumpy teenager, but that one bout of pop-related depression was enough for me. It wasn't just verbal arguments that we had growing up, no, there was the old physical fight. A couple of ones I remember had been karate kicked down the stairs into a glass door when he was practising these Karate Kid moves. Dad's laughing. The time that I pulled him off the top bunk, head first, and nearly broke his neck. He spent a large part of that day screaming and shouting, "You could have killed me, you could have killed me." It got so hysterical that my lovely mother had to shout up the stairs, "Craig, will you just shut up and calm down?" Raging at the injustice of it all, he took the remote control he had in his hand, threw it across the room, and smashed it into bits. And needless to say, he got into so much trouble that my attempted murder went off scot-free. Now, he didn't get much trouble growing up, as I'm sure we'll all agree. That was until the Great House Party of 2002. Craig was 19, a bit too old and cool for a family holiday, so me, Mum, Dad, Fiona, Kath and Bill all went off to Gran Canaria for a 2-week holiday. Before we went, Dad, No parties was the statement. Craig, of course, replied, of course, Dad, at least 30 times. So those that haven't met my dad, he does like to get his point across. So we went away, had a good 2 weeks abroad, come back. The house looked pretty much the same as we'd left it. Craig had stocked the fridge with 2 pints of milk and a packet of custard creams. It was lovely of him. And Dad goes up the stairs to unpack the suitcase. "What's happened to this mirror?" he screams. And the fight of the century breaks out. Now, I don't know, Dad, if you ever did believe, Craig, that it did just fall off one day when he was he used to spend a lot of time in front of the mirror straightening his hair, and actually, it did just fall off. Craig did later confide in me that he did have a bit of a wild party while we were away. 3 friends, some beers, and a movie. Travelling Project X, but I'm proud of him for breaking the rules. So, like I said, the last 8 years have been a bit hazy in terms of details, so I thought, who better to fill in the blanks for me than Craig's lovely friends? So I sent a questionnaire out, very scientific, to a few of his friends on Facebook. I just want to share a few of my most favourite responses with you. So, I don't want to keep banging on about music, but I thought I'll see if there's a consensus on his favourite band. I'm sure we can all guess who it was, but my favourite response has to be from Stuart Howie. His favourite band is Iron Maiden. If Steve Harris had said yes, he'd be marrying him instead. How did they meet? Craig's already nearly stole my story on that one, but he didn't. So most people seem to realise that they met in probably the classiest club in Glasgow, the Garage. But Stephen, Toner, as we call him, probably remembers more than most that he had quite a hand to play in it, insisting on buying Anne and her friend drinks that night. What he doesn't know is that Anne did her fair share of insisting that night as well, insisting they don't touch the drinks. I also asked if you could say one thing to Craig anonymously, what would it be? Every single person replied with, "Get a haircut, yeah." Now, there's obviously a lot of fondness and affection for Craig as well. When I asked him your favourite thing about him, replies included his sense of humour, his razor-sharp wit, his kindness, and his ability to get along with anyone. I think Craig will be most happy with this comment though, again from Stuart. What I like most about Craig is his ability to pick up on almost any obscure Simpsons quote that I throw at him. Only Craig will get this one. He really is the magical man that lives in a gumdrop house. So, enough about Craig. It's not about his special day. We all agree the bridesmaids look absolutely stunning. Yeah. We all agree though that the most beautiful woman in the room today is Anne. Yes. Anne is funny, she's smart, she's successful, she really does deserve an amazing husband. I'm just glad Craig got to her first. So, I couldn't end this without a statement from the great philosopher himself, Homer Simpson. Homer now states, now what is a wedding? And again, only Craig will get this, but I'll go for it. A wedding is the process of removing weeds from one's garden. Anyway, I'll move on. Seriously, and finally, I know we're all hungry. I couldn't think of a better way of putting this than a quote that I found. Don't marry the one that you can live with, marry the one that you can't live without. Take your glasses again. Propose a toast to Craig and Anne. May they be as happy now as they are. May they be happy forever as they are now. To Craig and Anne. Thank you.